Pete Rock and CL Smooth can't get on the same page, and that's horrible for fans. The purpose of this video: Pete Rock and CL Smooth are undoubtedly one of the greatest hip-hop duos in hip-hop history. Their music shaped soulful boom bap as well as jazz, incorporating lyrical balance. Fans constantly ask why there's no reunion album. They both seem to have differing opinions or stories, and let's unpack it, right? For Pete Rock's side of the story, you can check out Joe and Jada's podcast, where he stated that CL Smooth is pretty much a phenomenal talent. He acknowledged that they have classic records together, but the reason that they aren't working together or haven't worked together in almost 3 decades is that he believes that CL Smooth is jealous of him.
You know, in this business, bro, like when you come across different personalities, but you match with one talent-wise, but like physically and mentally it don't work. You know, in the very beginning it worked, but once you get to really know each other, the real them comes out. And it stirs up a bad character in me that I don't want to come out. At first I was mad at the fact that I had to deal with somebody of this stature who's very different from me.
Yeah, what would you say is his faults, though?
Jelly.
Jealous?
Jealousy. It's a bad disease, bro.
From his perspective, the emotional dynamic makes the collaboration impossible because he feels as though there's something internal on CL Smooth's end. He framed it as a personal and creative disconnect and not a lack of respect, which is growth in his estimation or from his point of view, because in the past, it seems as though he didn't want to give any credit to CL Smooth, but even though he is not open to working with him and he stated that he's jealous, it is a step in the right direction considering where they've been. Now for CL Smooth's point of view, you can check out his Drink Champs interview where he stated that he was frustrated about ownership and compensation.
One point I could pick at it as he can be paid to stay home. I can't. I gotta go on the road and get my money.
As a producer.
But you gonna pay him to stay home. Now how do I get my money? That's the question. That's the $1 million question. How does CL get his money if you keeping him home? And then on a bonus clip, if you got my producer producing other artists while my shit is working, then I'm competing against me.
He felt their shared sound was being given to other artists. You know, they developed a sound and he felt as though Pete Rock was lending it to other artists, which was having an effect on their working relationship, right? Did not receive long-term financial benefits from their catalog. Sample clearances came out of album budgets, reducing their earnings, and Pete Rock continued producing for other artists while CL Smooth, his momentum pretty much slowed down. Some people may be asking, how does Pete Rock working with other artists have a negative impact on CL Smooth long-term? First off, let's talk about touring and visibility. Fans who cop tickets look at them as a duo. If you buy a ticket, you want Pete Rock and CL Smooth. Now, if Pete Rock is unable to go on tour or doesn't want to go on tour, CL Smooth may not very well get booked for shows, which hurts him in the long run. But while he's being hurt monetarily, Pete Rock is booked by other artists. He's in the studio creating, making money. So they're a duo on wax. But when it comes time to perform those songs live, if Pete Rock is not available, CL Smooth really doesn't, or at that time didn't have a chance, or his opportunities may have dwindled because Pete Rock was not available. Now, if you're CL Smooth, your visibility may dampen a bit. Your career could plateau very in the early stages, while Pete Rock's resume continues to expand. That's why in any sector, people always tell you that you should learn more than one skill. Pete Rock was an MC, right? secondly, but he was a DJ and a producer. So he really didn't need to go on the road and make money. He can make it from home, you know, in the comfort of his own home. And as a group, I know you have to have empathy in the sense where you have to look at it from the perspective of another individual. But if you're not on the same page, and we got to keep in mind, they were relatively young at the time. If you're not on the same page, money gets involved, emotions get to flaring, and now you're in a position where they are, where you have outstanding music together. The fans want it, they'll support it, but business has gotten in the way, and it's gotten personal, and it may not ever happen. It's unfortunate because Pete Rock built a legacy through production freedom, and CL Smooth spent a lot of time just waiting. Think about the absence of music from CL Smooth throughout the course of time. It's almost as if he became totally dependent upon Pete Rock. I know that was your sound, I know that you guys had a chemistry, but there were so many other producers out there where you could have like really tried something different as opposed to relying solely on the Pete Rock and CL Smooth brand. And it's unfortunate. And it leads to resentment instead of communication. And it appears that time is making the gap much wider as opposed to smaller, you know. But this situation is not an anomaly. Like, we've heard the same story pretty much verbatim from Little Brother and the whole Ninth Wonder situation. So, I don't know, duos and groups, those who are successful and those who make it work, is a beautiful thing to witness. Now, keep in mind, not all groups have the producer/rapper dynamic, but when you're dealing with an array of different personalities and lack of communication and lack of maturity, this is where we are. And as a fan, although I would support a new project wholeheartedly, it's unlikely, you know, and I feel that way because this isn't about one argument. This has been going on for almost 3 decades, and they still don't see eye to eye. One feels as though he's willing to work it out, CL Smooth, but he's sharing why it didn't work, and the other still feel as though Pete Rock feels as though CL Smooth is still jealous to this present day. Unresolved business structure, emotional distrust, creative control at this point. The timing would be right. When you think about Mass Appeal and Legend Has It series and how the OGs are outside and Pete Rock and Common just had an album together. It's the climate, it's definitely the environment for it, but until they can see eye to eye or just stop talking about it completely and allow the mature discourse to take place and communicate and get on the same page, I just don't see it happening. It's on my wish list, but after this Joe and Jada podcast, although he wasn't disrespectful, but just to hear that word jealousy, I was like, I don't know, that can probably take them 2 steps backwards as far as making anything happen. And as a fan, speaking to myself and you, sometimes, you know, when we want our favorite artists to link up and make certain projects, you got to take a step back and think outside of what we want, right? And realize that wanting an album, does that mean that it's healthy to make one? They're not on the same page. Is it really worth it? Because forced reunions or forced pairings could damage legacy in some estimation. Their catalog is already timeless, which is why we yearn for it that much. So if they're not going to be on the same page or these type of interviews are still happening, what's the point, right? Because you can create an album, and if it doesn't meet expectations, they'll probably go right back to blaming each other. And honestly, or simply put, just honoring the truth or acknowledging it, it honors the music more than our wishful thinking ever could. So long story short, man, Pete Rock and CL Smooth don't really owe us anything in a sense, but as a fan, I would like for them, you know what, I would much rather for them to work out their differences much more than I would want an album from them. And I'm just being honest. Because you create that type of good music together and you change each other's lives, you toured the world, you should be able to, at least have a solid relationship, and then music comes second. What they gave us is already timeless. It changed culture. Like Pete Rock said on the Joe and Jada podcast, Troy is the #1 sentimental record in hip hop history. And I agree with him. So hopefully they can work it out. And I know some people are going to say it's bigger than that, there's other differences, and they had a fight overseas. I heard reports about that. I don't know about that, so I didn't speak about it. It could very well be deeper than we know, but I'm just going by what was stated from 2 different interviews. And, within the last 2.5 years, Pete Rock on Joe and Jada, and CL Smooth on Drink Champs. And as time goes on, like I stated a little earlier, it seems as though they're not getting on the same page or even becoming closer to reconciliation. And I'm talking about personal music. I don't want the music if they're not on the same page. I want them to enjoy or have fun making the album if it was to happen. So hopefully they can work it out, man. They both deserve that, right? You've made history together. How many people can say that? And at the very least, being on the same page and, laying that foundation down from a relationship standpoint would probably lead to healing, and then we can get some music. But let me know what you think in the comments section, man. Either way, respect to both of these brothers. They've had a great impact on my life musically, the memories associated with their projects, and I'm forever grateful. So it's hip hop. So remember, you can achieve anything in this world with sheer hard work and patience. It's your man Easy, the Easy Experience. God is the greatest. Go get yours. Yeah.
Hey yo,